So, what did you just see? Right now, your brain's trying to figure out the missing piece, the link, the thing that's missing in the situation. But you still need a little bit more. So let me continue. What you saw was a bunch of affordances with a box, a bunch of interactions with a box. What you saw was a complex question answered in a physical form. That ringing any bells? Is that making any more sense? Probably not. Right now, you're in a unique experience. There is no box for what it is that I'm talking about. Your brain has to suspend judgment and therefore just take in information before coming to any conclusions. So let me continue and tell you a little bit more. What you saw was the human lifespan explained in physical interaction. What you saw was the outline of self-care. What you really, really saw was the human ability to create different realities from the same situation, circumstance, or object. Now, to make my next point, I'm going to have to give you an example. So let's select one of these realities from what we just saw. We'll select the teenager. So what did the teenager really do? He picked up the box, then put down the box, but became on the other side of the box. So knowing the rules and being a little bit cheeky and rebellious, he does his own thing and he moves the box out of the way. Now I mentioned rules. In every reality, there are rules that stabilizes that reality. Now, pop quiz, bet you didn't know that was going to happen. What are the rules to health? In fact, how easy is it to win a game that you don't know the rules for? I'll leave that with you. Let's get back to the teenager. Now, there is one more important method that we should probably look into before we go any further. This is essentially the energizing factor, that of emotion. This colors the world of the individual. It decides the mechanics, the movements, the thoughts, the reactions, the actions of what someone's going to do. And knowing this, let's look a little bit further into the world of the teenager. High school. Books, notes, friends, the girls, the guys, parties, sports, fashion, drama, art, music. Breathe in. First semester. Breathe out. Summer break. All right, now that we got into the mind of the teenager, let us continue. Now imagine this teenager has to confront a strong emotion, that being fear. Let's imagine this box is fear. How is the teenager going to interact with this? It is larger than them. They don't know how to deal with this thing. Their toolkit is not wide enough or diverse enough to take on such a powerful thing. Let's take a look at that interaction. So now we saw two different interactions with fear. Let's make this a little bit more real to life. So what happens when this young teenager turns young adult and the fear is no longer in the box but in the individual? How will they then deal with things? Let's imagine this box was their loved one, somebody they care about, they're passionate. They want to protect, provide, and take care of. How will that interaction go? What are the rules to that? Will they be able to get through the tough things? Will they be able to express how they truly feel, or will it be hidden? All right, let's give a little space between our young adult and the other person. Let's say this is an employer. Now, how do these dynamics work out? Can the employee express their challenges, their frustrations, their ideas for improvement? Will the employer be just as open? Because there is a shift in power dynamic. So how will this play out? Not quite sure. Now let me add in our last piece of information to this puzzle. And this is going to be that of the restorative factor, this of self-care. Now, what if this box had the ability to give voice to emotion and say to this young child, my child, you are not angry, you are hurt, and nobody gets through life without being hurt. What if this box had the ability to give notice to mental patterns that now exist that did not exist at the time of the expression of fear, giving value or new value to this person now, present? What if this box had the ability to give physical form to change, therefore leading to new actions, therefore leading to new solutions? Future. We'd say that this is no longer three separate interactions. We'd say this is the experience of self-care, rebuilding the past by restoring the future. So what is it that we learned today? I'm going to recap for you. The first thing that we learned is the experience of self-care. The second are the three languages of self-care. The first being physical or action, which was the first part of our presentation. The second being that of mind or thought, the second portion. And the third being that of emotion or energy. And our final one is self-care and restorative in nature. Now, I should give you the cipher to this information so you could really put it together. Each one of these separate experiences are actually introverted. They're things that don't exist, they're not visible, they're not easy to break down. What I've done is I've extroverted, make them physical, make them visible, so we could walk through each separate environment, obeying the mechanics, the thoughts, the words, the processes of each one, therefore moving through this process and ending up at self-care. We also know that self-care is impossible without those three languages. In fact, if they're out of balance, self-care must jump in to help out and restore balance to that system. We know that they work together, therefore they are a system. Not only that, they're a bigger piece to a bigger puzzle, which in turn refers to the first question I asked you guys. Now, knowing that, we have to redefine what we think self-care is. And to give a real good definition, we would say self-care is the right value to the unlearned lesson or the missing experience. We also know that self-care used therapeutically is restorative in nature. Self-care is also a part of a lifestyle. Therefore, if self-care changes, lifestyle must also change. This makes the change long-term, more permanent, and more stationary for that individual. Not only that, we have the quietest point of them all, the one that was just hidden in this presentation. And this is that our bodies have a warning sign automatically for when self-care is needed. And we feel it every time it is needed. It will pop up and we will have this feeling. What do we call this? It has a bad name, but we call it stress. Therefore, where stress is present, something is missing. If something's missing, self-care must be implemented to bring back balance. Therefore, leading to the human environment of health and not just health itself. My name is Noel Miller. I'm an expert in self-care and specialist in exercise prescription, and I'd like to thank you for walking through the teachings with me today of self-care.